Hi everyone, welcome to another Impact and Influence. We've got a bit of a different one for you today. It's just Lauren and I with no special guests, although we are very special, Lauren. We want to just give some context. This time of the year, we're sitting at the 26th of June today when we record this. Lauren and I have been doing a hell of a lot of planning around what our next financial year looks like. But more importantly is we've been spending a lot of time with our clients, reviewing some key drivers in their business and having a look at what's important for the year ahead, particularly with a recalibrating market. And I think, Loz, probably to give some context to that, not everyone knows, but we're very much about practical experience in practice at Regrowth. Just before we lead into those key drivers and what our handy hints are going into the new financial year, could you just give everyone like a super quick 30-second snapshot or a minute snapshot on your actual practical experience in practice in the real estate arena?
Absolutely, Kyles, I'd love to. So very quickly, 20 years in the industry, started off, I've worked in that 20 years, I've worked in a number of different markets, Sydney Metro as well as regional. So I had a business in regional New South Wales in Newcastle, was lucky enough to work across all elements. So sales, property management, business management, BD, leasing, whatever, I've sat in every seat, which I think is really important. On top of, once I sold my business, so I've got experience of, buying and selling rent rolls, selling my business, and then moved into the corporate world. So have worked with a number of businesses across the country in both that corporate space as well as that training and consulting space. So definitely think that practical experience in practice is really important for me to be able to know what our clients are going through.
It's really important, guys. Just from our commitment from Regrowth Consultancy to market and our partners is when we bring consultants and coaches in, we've owned and operated our own businesses. We know what it's like not to pay ourselves if that ever happens. We know what it's like when you're looking at divestment and acquisition. We understand the challenges around recruitment and profitability. But most importantly, something that we've been talking about, I think it's come out of my mouth about 5 times a day at the moment, is saying to clients, and upskilling our team to make sure that we're across all of it is, guys, for every dollar that you make, what does it cost you? And make sure that when you're sitting down with your accountants at the moment and you're looking at your projections for the next 12 months is what is your cost of sale? What is your cost to manage? And how will that affect you making key decisions in your business in the next 12 months? And I think once you know that and you're aware of your desk costs especially, you'll make better and more informed decisions. Lauren, what's another tip that you would give to our listeners going into the new financial year?
I think a big one is around those contracts, Kyles. Like we have so many plugins into our business around subscriptions and commercial contracts. And I think reviewing those and making sure, one, team are utilising them to their fullest capacity, because I find that that's a really big gap in a lot of businesses. But simple things like making sure if we're paying per user, we actually have the right number of users and we haven't still got users that have left the business and we're still paying for them. So doing a complete overview of those and perhaps meeting with your key partners to make sure you're getting, the best commercial contract that you can get with those and working with them as in a true partnership rather than just another contract.
Yeah, 500%, guys. And I think speed is everything moving forward. Not everything's got to be fast, but measuring some of the key drivers that affect client experience, both internally for your team around, particularly induction and onboarding. If we induct and onboard our people better at the start, it'll help set us up for success, but most importantly, it'll affect the retention or the time that people are with you. And then also measuring the client experience. So, how long does it take to get a listing online? How can we make that quicker? Are we quick enough and competitive enough with our appraisal? There's lots of software that can measure that for you now. It's as simple as in property management, for example, is having a look in the back end of your system. What's your process time for applications? We're hearing all around the marketplaces in the last couple of weeks that vacancy is starting to creep up. I do think in some of the metropolitan markets that's seasonal, but I also think, if the market is recalibrating in sales, then it's a matter of time before we see that flow through for property management. And if you're going to be faster, it's going to make you more competitive. But understanding those things you need to slow down for. There's an old saying, slow is fast, fast is smooth. So really recalibrating and having a look at those things for the next 12 months. Loz, what are you seeing out there in property management? Because I know our team's done, I think, 7 or 8 due diligences in the last week. What are some of the things that are coming out in those health checks that you think that people should really start to have a look under the hood at?
Yeah, I think so. Let's just go top 2 because there's a lot of takeaways from those. But I think really just reviewing your fees. looking at what, and goes back to what you were talking about, Kyle's, around, desktop, also just knowing and having your team know the cost to manage as well is really, really important. So do you have profitable and unprofitable clients in your portfolio? So maybe simply just looking at who's not paying fees. You'll be surprised how many landlords in your system have a 0 fee next to their name, and it's scary how long that can happen for. So that would be my first tip. The second tip, it would probably just to be looking at your rent reviews and making sure that your team are knowledgeable around and help them with their dialogue if they're not, around what that actual market rate is and that market value, because we're finding a lot of property managers just tick and flick around your rent reviews, $5-10. It's easy across the line with your landlord, but it's not actually accurate with the market. So I think there's a lot of value in that space as well, around really making sure all of our properties are rented at market value, but there's the benefit to the client as well. So helping your team with that dialogue so that it's not just a simple process, it's an add value for your client.
Actually, it's funny you should say that. I'd love $1. Actually, I'd love $500 for every office I reckon I've been in the last quarter where we've done training and coaching and scripts and dialogues on making sure that people are able to adjust rents to market. And then I turn around and say the principal, we went to do an example looking at CoreLogic's app around capital growth and market rents. And your team told me that they don't even have a subscription because property managers aren't allowed to have a subscription to the data provider, which is nuts, given that is just the asset of the principal, but also value add for your team and educating them on market intel. So something I would say in the next 12 months is for principals and department heads that are listening is, for goodness sake, make sure that your property managers are equipped with the technology that your salespeople have got. So they are instilling confidence by being more competent with market intel if we're advising our clients and customers around those things. But look, I think keep it simple in the new financial year. Do it, dump it, or delegate it. Too much noise is going to be a headache. Keep things simple. Focus in 90-day chunks or 90-day buckets moving forward in the next 12 months. But I think importantly, it's going to get tough. I understand that, but it's a competitive time. It's a competitive market, but great agents will just get better and better. So focusing on those key levers, it's something Loz and I could talk about all day long, but we just wanted to give you something short and sharp, a couple of key points to think about. We're going to run a workshop, Loz. Is that the 12th of July? I think we've set aside. So we've got a workshop on the 12th of July. If you want to have a look on our website, it's around growth and scale of property management. And then in the afternoon, we're going to be doing some workshops on improving your reach and your competitive advantage through Google My Business, and also some tips and tricks on recruitment, because, man, that's competitive out there at the moment. And unless you've got your toolkit, just like your pre-list and your appraisal process, unfortunately, you won't be competing at the top of your game. Loz, is there anything else that you wanted to give our listeners today that you think is imperative or important going into new financial year, as like some quick wins?
Oh, some quick wins. Kyles, I think, there's just so many. We've covered a lot. Quick wins could be simple things like getting a tax depreciation report done on your office space. We work with our landlords and we recommend to our landlords around that, but we don't think about it for our own business. So that would be mine. That's probably something a bit new. What's your top tip?
Look, I think is actually booking some meetings as a reoccurrence with your accountant. So Lauren knows I'm anal retentive about it. I've already had 2 or 3, but I don't like getting to this time of the month and then getting surprises. So, when are you topped out with your super contributions? And did you meet the deadlines earlier in the month for that? Making sure that you're across all the rules and regulation that affect how you're charging things in your general ledger accounts. What salespeople that you've got in your business that you're not making profit out? Just like you spoke about properties that you're managing that you aren't making profit on, what salespeople have you got that continually don't cover their desk cost? What sales agents do you have that aren't contributing or collaborating to the culture and the way of being? We don't need distractions in the next 12 months. We need to focus. And I understand that our people are incredibly important. We're not saying just focus on profit and efficiencies, but they are going to be a lot more important in the new financial year. So I think I've counted about 16 things now, Loz, that we've covered. We may do another one of these in the next couple of days, but guys, we hope you got something out of that. Sit down and maybe do it, dump it, or delegate our interview to lighten the load and make sure that in 2023-24 new financial year, that you're having the best year yet that you can have.